Hi everyone, today I wanted to make a video on mindful presence and war. So as we are seeing in the world, there is a lot of war going on, and I was thinking about the war that we also not just see outside of ourselves, but the war inside of ourselves, inside of our minds mainly, and how we can actually go to war with ourselves in so many different ways, and how we have the nature as human beings to create destruction, or we have the choice to also create peace within and without. The thing about peace, though, is that it requires a lot of patience. It has to be cultivated bit by bit. It doesn't just happen overnight. And when we see external situations and internal battles, there's a lot of impatience that fuels our actions. And we are impatient with ourselves and our warring minds. We are impatient with situations outside of ourselves. And that impatience can really lead us into making decisions that are detrimental and very harmful to all of us, all beings on this planet. So, I understand sometimes that, patience is difficult when we have to make a decision within a few minutes or within a few hours. But before we make these decisions, even before we are asked to make such decisions in last minute, it is important that we have cultivated the soil to discern, the soil of discernment. If we have cultivated the soil and seeds of discernment, if we are asked to make a decision very quickly, that seed of discernment will kick in, and we're able to make a decision that is the least harmful decision. We can't always make 100% peaceful decisions. Sometimes that's very, very difficult. But what we're aiming towards is creating the least amount of harm. And this is why we need to look at short-term and long-term goals. Even internally, let's come back to internal goals, right? Internally, when our minds are warring with ourselves, our own mind is warring inside, our thoughts are conflicted, one thought is battling against another thought. That creates a lot of tension. That creates the fuel to sometimes destroy. So how do we move past this? And I think about how mindful presence plays a role. And I think about when we train the mind towards mindful presence, we are able to stay present with the war inside of ourselves, with the thoughts that are conflicting. And we're able to not get swept up by that tide. We are able to stay grounded and able to see clearly what's happening inside our minds. And when we do that, we can intentionally then bring in peace. We can say, I want to cultivate a peaceful mind, a peaceful state of being. And part of that is continuing to plant these seeds of discernment, of patience, of kindness, of compassion, of equanimity, which means, a balanced state. Because from a balanced state, we can make more wiseful and skillful decisions. So mindful presence brings attention to those warring thoughts inside of ourselves. Okay, it helps to bring an attention and intention to ground, to see these things clearly for what they are, and to intentionally keep choosing peace. And we are going to go back and forth, right? We're going to go towards warring with ourselves, thoughts about like conflicting thoughts, to peaceful thoughts. We can't necessarily get rid of conflicting thoughts sometimes, but we can cultivate more seeds towards more peaceful thoughts. And the other thing I was like contemplating is that even when we cultivate peace, if we now try to hold on really tightly to peace, this can also create harm. So when I think about the outside world, I think about how we try to hold on to peace for our families, peace for ourselves, peace for the world, peace for our country. And when we hold on really, really tightly to peace, it actually creates more harm, because anything we hold on tightly to eventually rebels. It rebels. Even if you think about a human being, when you try to hold on really tightly to a human being and keep them constrained and grasp them tightly, they are going to rebel. Nothing and no one wants to be held on tightly. So we can't hold on tightly to peace. We can cultivate the seeds of peace. But as soon as we hold on tightly, what happens is we go to war with ourselves again. We go to war with the world again, because we're trying to hold on to something that is fleeting. It is coming and it's going. Peace is coming and it's going. War is coming and it's going. So everything is impermanent. Everything is moving and changing all the time. And anything that's changing and we try to hold on to, we eventually go to war with it. It rebels. And this is also true for peace or any other, value that we see as skillful value. Even kindness, if we hold on really tightly to kindness, that can also cause harm. So I really want you guys to think about this. How can holding on tightly to peace, peace for myself, peace for my family, peace for my country, create more harm? How can it create more harm? And how do we just continue to cultivate these seeds, to plant these seeds of peace, and then sit back and let them naturally flourish, so we can see how they grow. And this is the practice of mindful presence, is we cultivate these states and we see how they grow, and soon we start to see the benefits of them. So I hope this video has been helpful, and I would very much like some comments on what I'm saying. Maybe you can relate, maybe you can't relate, whatever it is, please comment, and so we can kind of get this discussion going. Thank you.